Ndubanya enwe nzukọ onye nụ ya kọla ibe yo. Ndubanya na-abịala. Igbo kwenu. Igbo kwenu. Kwezwenu.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Well, such music as the one that we have just heard, has a way of, creating very special nostalgia. That was Igbo, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, must be. Well, welcome to Ikenga Day 2024. I don't know that there could have been a better way of welcoming us than the music that we've just heard. Some of us that had our initial orientation in Nigeria would definitely find the music very, very familiar and a reminder of the good old days. Now, Ikenga Day is actually centered around recreating some of those, Igbo identity that some of us are very much aware of and are very much used to. Now, there is always this conversation amongst, Africans in diaspora as to how much we have remained Africans in this specific case, how much we have remained Igbo, after a long time away from Igbo land. And so the question arises, is it possible to be Igbo while outside Igbo land? I believe that any one of us, who looks back to his or her diaspora sojourn will answer that question in a positive manner. Now, in my conversations with peers and associates, it becomes clear that actually, to a large extent, we become even more Igbo outside Igbo land because we miss that culture and we use all sorts of ways and manner to recreate the culture. We crave it. Some of the things we were unable to do back in Nigeria, we find a way or the other, to recreate them while outside Nigeria. And so the concept of Ikenga Day, a European Igbo festival, is centered around, the recreation, enculturation of the Igbo culture in different ways and means. And so a group of individuals, speakers, have been carefully selected today, Ikenga Day 2024, to view some of these issues from their perspective. And in doing so, we'll begin to see, we'll initiate conversations around, the Igbo in us while being Europeans or Africans, or Americans or wherever in the world that you might be. I'm very much excited that, the lineup, the impressive lineup of speakers, most of them, if not all, are already here, waiting to dig in. I am, very, very excited for today. And on this note, in my capacity as the patron of AfricaFora, I want to stop it at that by bidding you a very, very warm welcome to Ikenga Day 2024, as I look forward to a very engaging day. I will double as your moderator as well. And so better start getting used to the face. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. I think I am also meant to introduce myself. I will do that very briefly. Collins Weke is my name. Born and raised in Ibuzo, a quiet hilly town in Delta State, Nigeria. I had my initial orientation there before my sojourn out here in the diaspora. I've been here now for nearly 3 decades, and so I can't help but say that, here, Belgium, Europe, has become home as well. And I think that is essentially the story of, most of my peers. I'm a father, a proud father of, two young adult sons born and bred here, with efforts, to raise them both as Igbos and as Europeans. I'm sure the likes of Crystal will attest to the fact that it is not, always a very, easy endeavor, but we'll continue to do our best. And, with programs such as the one that you are watching, which of course, forms part of the critical resource materials that both the first and the second generation of, European Igbos, have at their disposal. That job is also made a little bit easier. I'm a husband of, an Igbo woman, Akweke, Tonia Nweke. And so, that's a bit of my story, and I'm happy to be serving as the patron of AfrikaFora, sorry, which is which gives me the opportunity to be closer to our Igbo origin, but also the multiculturalism that every society out here is embracing. So that is just by way of a personal introduction. Now, I want to go further by asking that on the chat box, there is an opportunity to, drop questions, remarks, or whatever, as long as you make it short and punchy and straight to the point. That will help, us at the back end in actually dealing with any question or issues or whatever that you may have. And I think it's a very, very important tool. So having said that, I think we can now go over to the libation, and I can see the gentleman, Mazi Ihani Anyanwu Ezemwo, if I'm not mistaken. Can you raise your hand just to be sure that I'm seeing you correctly? Ezemwo, there you go. Thank you, and welcome to Ikenga 2024. We are anxiously waiting for you to pour the libation as we used to know it, back in the day. If you could just take a sentence or two to introduce yourself beyond being Ezemwo. Tell us, with one or two sentences, a little bit about yourself before you dig into the libation. Over to you, Ezemwo.
Good afternoon. I hope you can hear my voice.
Yes, please continue.
Okay. Like you said, I'm Ezemwo, but what I'm not, I'm a lot of things. But what I'm not is I'm not a gentleman. Because I'm not English. I'm a pure 100% Igbo man, and not just an Igbo man. I'm also an Igbo traditionalist. I'm a Dibia, and I so much appreciate and enjoy the ways of our ancestors. So I live by it and I soak by it. So by nature, I'm an African. And also by ideology, I'm also an African, an Igbo man for that matter. So I'm not much. I'm just a normal Igbo man that believes in his Igbo identity and also that believes in his Igbo philosophy. So like you said, I'm here to do justice to what we Igbos do before the commence of any conversation or deliberation or any meeting. It is giving due respect to the environment, to those that came before us, and to those that will come after us, and those that are with us at the moment. And that is what libation is all about. Giving due respect to those who were there before you, those that will come after you, and those that are already there with you. And that is what we do. Because we believe that respect is something that is contagious. When you give, you get. That is it for now.
You say, oh.
You see?
So,
Can we take that as both your introduction and a bit of a libation, or are you still giving us a bit more libation?
No, libation is a ritual. It's not something, you don't just say it with words. It's a ritual.
Okay.
You have to, yeah. There are so many implications, so you must be on point. So I'm going to do the libation now.
Thank you.
So if you just give me a minute, Chukwuebuka, come and hold this phone. Should you turn this camera? I want to turn the camera. Okay, come, Chukwuebuka. Hold this. I hope you can hear my voice.
Please.
Loud and clear.
Look over the camera. Just. I'm going to do it in Igbo language because the caller does not understand English language. Chiaha bolozo tata weke o mbida ahia o ahia mbu. Ahia mjaka woji, mjaka woso oji. Ke woji, ke woso oji, ke okwanu eto, ke wozu. Ha anyị gbakọrọ wụ he nwanne anyị nwanyị. Nnukpara aka uche ya ebido. O megakwa nne ya wụọ he zuru Afrịka niile ahụ. She AfrikaFora. Ahịa nwa megata awụ Ikenga. Ọwụ ike anyị ji aga ọkwa na eji mara Igbo. Ma akpọkuga nnụ eji nzu akpọga ọra gbara mmụọ na nna mmụọ akpọga ozugbo nnụ niile ebe n'ebe ọla nna nụ. Achịmị nnụ bụ amara nzu. Achịmị nnụ bụ amara nzu. Bụ amara nụ nzu. Gbakọ ọnụ. Anyị bụ gbakọ ọha ọma. Ọ ga-arịrị anyị mma taa. Ọ ga-arịrị nwoke mma, rịrị nwaanyị mma. Onye ọla tigo n'okwu achịm ọ ga-aba na ya. Achịm tata ọ ga-arịrị AfrikaFora mma. Dịkwara Igbo rịrị Afrịka niile mma. Okwu anyị kwuru wụ aha ikpo gbakọ ọhụ ilekpọ ga-eji mere mma. Mgbakọ anyị gbakọrọ. Achịm ọma bido bema n'ime ndụ anyị na ime ha anyị atụmatụ ọnwa anyị nwere iji kwado ozugbo anyị niile. Anyị jikọrọ anyị ọnụ anyị wotu abụ. Anyị mekwanụ ọ ga-eji mee gị ihe. Mekwugachi taa ọwa ike ọwụ mbido izu ọkwanụ ụbọchị mbụ. Ahụ ọma ebidola. Mana ndụ anyị mana ebe anyị azụ ahịa. Ma ha ewughị anyị jiri biri rịa ndị mmadụ. Anyị kwuru ka enwe ọ ga-arịrị nwoke mma rịrị nwaanyị mma. Ozugbo ndị niile ga-eti ọnụ, ozugbo ndị niile gbakọrọ nga, ozugbo ndị niile bịa ikwu ọ ga-ejere mma. Achịmị nnụ nye nwa aka, nye nwa uche, nye nwa amamihe. Banyekwala nwa ụzọ. Wụrụ anwụ ọgụ. Ebe n'ebe ọla ha echechigala nwoke gbuola nwa ọgụ. Ha ọla achụgakwana nwa gbara nwa ọgụ. Duo nwụọ ọla nwụtụga nwụtụwa ka echụga nwegide na nwụ. Achịmị aba na onye ihu ba na onye azụ. Ha kwuru ke nwụ ya arịla kpanakpa ọla ha agbakọ ime ihe ndị ọla tili aka chi ihe ga-aga. Achịm nwa onwekwa ọganihu na ndụ nwụ. Ọhịa nkwụ ma nnu uzu shi nnụ gbakọ ga-enu minti olu. Anyị ewe ọjị anyị ji aka ekwanụ mmiri ọkụ. Ma agụgo elu ọjị. Chi arịla nwoke mma arịla nwaanyị mma. Achịmị nnụta ma duo na anyị. Ọkwa na ọjị ndụ maka achụ ọjị wara ndụ. Ma ekwuchi ndụ nwoke ga-adị ndụ nwaanyị ga-adị. Ma ahụgala nna ọjị. Chi ihe emega. Enwe na akpa anyị jiri megide nagide na anyị. Anyị eme akwana ya naba anụ ya. Otu mee na ọ gaala anyị. Anyị mega ma ọrị mma. Ohe mkpochi nọ. Lekwa na ọjị. Aka ewe edo ma kpọgo udo. Ekwugashi nọ achana nye na anyị udo. Asị m udo na ndụ anyị, udo na ebe anyị azụ anyị, udo na ha anyị mega na akara aka anyị nye na anyị udo. Ma pali mmi elu. Ka hem gore loju hem gore lumme. Chiari lo nyukwu mmadụ lo onye nta mma. Kachama ndị gbakọrọ nga ikwu ọ ga-ejere mma maka ha anyị mega ha eme Igbo anụjie. Ashimi ya gajie n'ọfọ. Ashimi ya gajie n'ọfọ. Ashimi ya gajie n'ọfọ. Makwa ezumezu niile n'ala Igbo. Chimonu nyere ha ime. Monu nyere ha ime. Monu nyere ha ime. Ya gajie n'ọfọ. O kwekwuru nwe iyi. Ekwukwachi taa. Akọ na uche nye n'ụgbọ. Akpa ahụ ekwu a ga-ekwu okwu nga tinu nwokwu ọnụ. Nwokwu uche nnu ekwuru uche kenwu. Ashimi ya gajie. Shia tajima. Ọma mema. Mana ndụ anyị ma akpa niile anyị ji aka. Kacha ma AfricaFora. Ashimi ya gajiela nwu. Weghara atụmatụ ọma. Ashimi ya rela nwu. Ashimi ya rela nwu. Ya rekwa nna nwada anyị mma. Ya ezinụlọ ya. Maka ha omega akpọ ga-ejere m. Ashimi onye chọrọ ha ọma rube ya aka. Ozugbo ndị bịakwa nnani. Ya akpọ ebe na ebe ọla anya nọ. Kpa anyanwụ jacharugo ebe anyị nọ. Ashimi ha ọma rukwa anyị aka. Ya gaji efuchie. O kwekwuru nwe iyi. Sit. I think I'm done with the libation.
Thank you.
You say, oh.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I'm sure the spirit out of that libation, which is indeed the purpose, we see all through the entire program and beyond. Thank you so very much, Ezemo, for doing it so professionally. Much appreciated. Next on the program, we're going to have Ife Eghelu, who had actually spoken to us earlier from, his base in Abuja. I will just tell you a few words about Ife, and whatever I am unable to capture, Ife will take it from there as long as it's brief. Ife is it's not just an award-winning creative filmmaker. He's also a visiting lecturer at the Mohol Art Academy in Milan. His work focuses on social-cultural themes. He's an author and director of the groundbreaking performances Ewa Oji, Igbo Communion, A Dance in Palermo Forest, and Re-Education of an Igbo Mask. His first book, Mmụọ Nka plus TA, is an esoteric treatise on the Igbo language. Now, you may have gathered from what I have said so far that Ife couldn't have been born elsewhere than Nigeria, not just in Nigeria, but in Igbo land. However, he is a naturalized Italian. And so with those, few words, you now know who we have before us. And with that, I will hand the words over to Ife. Ife, you are very much welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon to the SMO, who's not a gentleman as myself. So we are both no gentlemen. I'm Igbo from Imo State. But I'm not going to take anybody's time. Let me go directly into the reason why we are here, the reason why I'm here. So this is going to be my first book. This is the first cycle of the book. There are 3 cycles, so we are publishing. The Professor Claudette Anderson, her foundation, is publishing this first cycle, which is called Onuchi Foundation. I'm going to do a brief explanation to what I'm going to be doing with the Italian lady here, whom I'm so surprised to meet, because word was put out there, and she happens to be the one who wants me to do a divination for her on words. Why divination on words? And that's the performance. So because of the peculiar nature of the Igbo language, I tell people that if you are able to gather some Igbo words together, give them the forces that they need, you can actually fly. And it's not an exaggeration. I'm sure that there is a more will not dispute that, because he knows what I'm saying. So I'm going to go into this performance by making a brief explanation. And I take just examples from various parts of the world. There have been experiments where 2 seedlings are placed side by side. In such researches, positive and negative words are spoken to 2 plants in the same space. The results showed that the plants listened to the words, and researchers observed their surprising effects on the plants. Another example is if you observe the reaction of 2 lovers speaking sweet words to each other, their bodies listen and produce ecstatic reactions. But conversely, speaking negatively to one another produces adverse effects on their bodies. Their faces contact, they appear ugly and angry, displaying various physical and chemical reactions to one another. Therefore, plants, rooms, our bodies, and environments listen to thoughts manifested in words, creating energy fields that build relationships with our lives. So what are dense? What I'm going to invite our sister from the other side of the continent to do is I'm going to eventually, when she takes the words according to the dictates of our moderator, I'm going to ask Cynthia to go into herself in a few seconds or minutes of mindfulness. The book that she's going to perform with me has 17 chapters. So I want her to close her eyes, and the moment she opens her eyes, she should tell me what number has come to her head. Once she pronounces the number, I'm going to search for the number in the book and read it out. And then from there, we are going to try to understand the relationship, why she chose that particular word. This is the performance. Meanwhile, let me go and open the book. Okay, I'm done with my own part. Now the moderator can.
Thank you. Thank you, Alfie.
You're welcome.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure
-2.
I'm sure Ezemo will exceptionally permit me to use the generic ladies and gentlemen here. You know, that is not a disregard to the remark that you had made before, but I mean, it's just there in the lip. So forgive me when I use it. It's used, you know, in a generic manner. All right. Now, we are going over to introducing the special guest of honor, who will be talking to us about nothing compares to teamwork. He will be giving us a few words Yes.
Moderator, no, I have not finished. You were supposed to introduce the lady because I'm going to do the performance with her.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry about that. I got all of that mixed up.
Afi, I believe we don't have the information of your
Okay,
partner for
then
this
let's go back to
performance. I
her.
don't
Let's
believe
go
it's
back to her
Michelle.
meditating on the words and then giving me the number she chooses so that I can go on with my divination in words.
Okay. In that case, I will invite her to introduce herself very, very briefly and then do what she has to do. Please, that's Cynthia, right? If I got the name right.
Cynthia.
Cynthia, yeah. Okay. Please go ahead. Have we lost her?
Cynthia, non ti sentiamo?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Yes.
now? Okay.
Yes.
It's a real pleasure for me to be here. And it's a real pleasure to be here. It's a real honor. I made the exercise of getting in touch with my deep conscious. And
what number did you come up with from 1 to 17?
15.
Oh,
15.
number 15. Okay. That's interesting. Let me scroll down, please. Let me open the book, go down and get what is on number 15. Number 15, number 15. Okay, wow. Number 15 is the decode of the word dibia. So this book is narrated not just as decoding the words. It's a conversation between a dibia and a young woman. Interestingly, she picked the word dibia. So I'm going to go like this. So Dikato, who is the father of the young woman, then rose from the gathered Otu, that is the crowd, the great assembly in front of Ada, the daughter. He remembered Ada as once his daughter, yet sister, mother, grandmother. Dikato respectfully offered kola nut to Ada, now sage, great in wisdom. She sat and spoke not for a time longer than time, yet everyone clearly heard her say, Umum, anabatara m onye ọbụla n'ime m. Maka unu niile, ma nwoke ma nwanyị, ụmụ m, ụmụada. I'm welcoming each one of you inside of me because everyone, man or woman, is my child, the children of Ada. She spoke her mouth completely shut, yet her voice was as clear as raindrops. Dikato, the father, who used to be the father, Ada, where then is the great Dibia? Has he died? And if he died, where is the body? Has he reincarnated into another world? Adam, who then is the Dibia? Adam, Nani, a Dibia never dies. Listen to the word, for therein lay the truth. Dibia is the I am, that is the that is always here, yet comes somewhere else. A simultaneous presence and absence. The Dibia, who she or he is here, yet is not here. Listen then to the D you hear in the word D, or ihe di ala mma, that which is beautiful to the earth. The bia in bia no bani or onyo bia. Come to our territory, home, or the traveler or the guest. This stands for ease, essence, presence, here. Bia, on the other hand, is come or coming, return or returning or going. The Dibia can be in different places at the same time. Dibia is ubiquity manifested. Okechi, because this is an assembly of people. It is not only the Dibia, that is the young woman and the former father. It's an assembly of many people. Okechi, Odimada, and that says, he said, you have spoken wisely, Odimma, it is fine or beautiful, yet you expressed an ancient truth known in all world systems. Odimma, Odimma, it or the universe is beautiful. It is what I know. What you uttered is Owanile universe proclaiming it is what I know to be beautiful. I am beautiful. The universe is in all its forms is an expression of Umma, total beauty, absolute. Follow the words, therein lay the code to the mystery. The Dibia is not dead and never will so be. The Dibia goes into what some call astral or full body time travel. Onye di ma na-abịa nwere ike ịhụ ihe niile zoro ezo. One that is endowed with the capacity of being here and there simultaneously, the multiple presence has the power to see all that is hidden. Uche, little son of Okechi, walked up to Ada and whispers into her ears. Uche, Dada, where is the Dibia hiding? Ada then took Uche into her arms, and though addressing the child, continued to speak to the Otu, each body that composes the gathering. Uche, my son, the Dibia is not hiding. He has chosen to be away in the body. The Dibia is totally at ease with the sun, moon, air, rain, the visible and invisible aspects of reality. And when the Dibia is called or willed to die, land in a world, the inhabitants see him and exclaim joyously, Obiala, Obatala, Allah, Obiala, Obatala. The universe, he or she has landed, arrived, or has come or gone. And when he leaves, young and old, elders and sages dance and nod in agreement with various words. Some sing Olala, he has gone back to land, while others exclaim, Opwola. Yes, the land in question refers to every part of the endless universe and various forms of inhabitants. So as some dance to Olala, I repeat that others celebrate singing and dancing to the music of Opwola. The universe, he or she has gone away. He has gone or germinated new seeds. The germination here refers to all the systems of the world and their various growths of peculiar trees of life. The systems in which the Dibia travels to in his work of espousing various practices as willed by inhabitants and in accordance with the universal law of spontaneous growth or manifestation in a given day. Listen deeper and hear, dance to the mysterious music of Obiala. He has come or landed, yet has gone or left. The Dibia marches coming and going into a simultaneous endless dance to create all menala according to the needs of the land or the people or the period. And when this Obiala, this coming and landing that is also going happens, new worlds, realities, consciousness are born, existing ones reinforced, so that the Dibia moves with ease into other realms where he is expected. It is known that humans have the chi or God essence. The Dibia is the one that puts into practice this essence, thereby becoming a direct messenger of God. The Dibia is a dancer of the world, and wherever he places his feet, new seeds are sown. Old dead flowers take life and blossom, because the cycle is always complete. So, Cynthia, why you, a European woman, chose the word Dibia, the number 15? Why? In a cycle of 17 decades, you chose number 15 and it's the Dibia. Why? And then with your intervention, yes,
I
please.
tell you, I am a bit surprised because number 15, according to the law of time, that is my field of study, number 15 came to my mind because it is the number connected to my father. And you started your conversation, you started your explanation speaking about the father. So it was exactly, you used two words that are directly connected with me. One is the father and the other one is the time, directly connected with me.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'm not going to take for that time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and to the Ezemo, who's not a gentleman like myself. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. That was so kind of you. I mean, I just couldn't stop us before where Cynthia could say what she wanted to say. Our time is far spent. I will take us immediately to the next item on the agenda, which is to invite our special guest of honor to address us. The subject of his remarks, brief remarks, will be actually projecting the values of teamwork. Now, he's going to, be talking to us about the team. Nothing compares to teamwork. And the person to do justice to that is the Ife Eghelu Ojoto. Permit me to go personal here, but Ojoto is just next door to my wife's village of Ichi. I pass through there every time I'm visiting my in-laws. So, it resonates. So, Ife Eghelu, you are very much welcome. If you permit me, ladies and gentlemen, his profile is a very, very exhaustive one, but I'm not going to, read out all his profile. I'm going to pick just, very few aspects of it. Number one is the fact that he was awarded in 2006 the Inventor of the Year for the patent USPTO 670, making a method of making electroplated interconnection structures on integrated circuit chips by a New York Intellectual Property Association. That's an Igbo man, that has achieved that feat. Now, in 2023, he was also awarded the Diaspora Professional of the Year by the Top 10 Magazine Excellence Award in Nigeria. The gentleman that we're talking about, Engineer Dr. Cyprian, studied metallurgical engineering at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and got his PhD in materials science from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Troy, New York. He is a distinguished engineer at Adea Incorporation and co-founder of Emeka Tech Incorporation, a biotech startup based in Santa Clara, California, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in inviting Cyprian Emeka Uzoh, the Ife Eghelu Ojoto in Anambra State, Nigeria, for a few thoughts, some remarks. Welcome, and over to you, sir.
Chairman Collins, thank you for the invitation. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for inviting me to this forum as a special guest. Also, I want to thank you for honoring my work. And some of you may have seen me maybe I'm sure very of you have seen me. I live in San Jose, California. I'm going to go into the key concept that nothing compares to teamwork. But before that, I'll give you a little bit of my background. I'm from Ojoto in Anambra State, somewhere in Nigeria. And I attended a small private Catholic school called Christ the King's College, Onitsha. After that, I proceeded to US to study. Basically, I studied metallurgical engineering and material science in graduate school. In graduate school, I spent 7 years conducting research on advanced high-performance aircraft, fabricating aircraft from composite material. In fact, as a team at Rensselaer, we have a big program which was funded by NASA and the US Office of Scientific Research to build gliders. The government intentionally wanted to train students for the industry. So we fabricated 2 gliders. To fabricate a glider, it's not something a simple individual could. It involved several departments: Department of Aeronautical Engineering for design, mechanical engineering for testing, of course in material science for the fabrication, and chemistry for resin choice testing, and of course software for the control system. So when you see airplane in the air, it takes large team efforts, anything that is successful. And what makes one team better than the other has to do with level of creativity, how stubborn they are, how cohesive, and how focused. And sometimes creativity of being very bright is not enough. Even if you're a genius, it's not enough. You need a team to make things to scale. That is the value where no single individual can compete with a very good team. I will divert slightly to point out something which some of you probably know more or know very well. It has to do with AI, artificial intelligence. Let me share with you why many of the African countries are very poor, why we are struggling. There are many reasons, but one of the key factors is I want to share with you with just 2 slides. Can you see my slide?
No.
No?
No, unfortunately, we will not be able to see your slides because this format doesn't allow for it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. If you could speak to the slide and
okay, I'll speak to the
briefly as
slide.
possible. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a slide created by AI, what I called applied creativity and wealth. It basically plots number of patents per million in any given state versus GDP. The poorest state in the country is Mississippi with GDP of 49,000. And while the richest states, California, correct, Massachusetts, Washington. If you follow the slide, it tells you that the most creative states are the wealthiest in the US. The poorest states, West Virginia, Arkansas, Alabama, Louisiana, are at the very bottom. And it's not an accident, because if you come to think of it, the best universities in the US are located in California: Stanford, Berkeley, UCLA, Santa Barbara, amongst California Institute of Technology, amongst others. Then if you go to the East Coast, you have Harvard, MIT, Rensselaer, Cornell, Columbia. You get the picture. So there's association between wealth and how creative we are and the quality of university that we attend, or it's in the local area. If we go to Africa, the second slide, which is my last slide, it's plotting number of patents per million versus GDP. Nigeria is at the bottom. GDP of Nigeria is around 2,000, maybe $2,300. Number of patents issued in Nigeria is 0.006. Compared to India, we have similar GDP, but India have close to 10 patents per million. And of course, the richest countries, it shows Israel, correct? United States, Germany, Japan, South Korea. If you look at, unfortunately, I will send you the link. This is published work, it's available on internet, that the richest countries are the countries who are involved in more creative work. Not that it's creative, but the creativity skills, it leads into production. And one thing all these countries have in common, they have protection for their talent. They have issue of patenting, which I happen to be one of the, say, leading inventors in the world, which many of you know about. I have over 380 patents in the US and more than 800 worldwide. Why this is key, it's if you go to Nigeria, we have incredible creative folks, who fabricate incredible fabric, shoes, correct? I mean, making a good shoe involves a lot of teamwork, from designing, layout, the fabrication itself, even marketing and packaging involves teamwork. However, we lack protection. Because we lack protection for our team effort, for our creativity. This is one of the reasons why we're poor. Because you can spend all your money, come out to the best idea, come out with the best work. Nothing prevents somebody from going to India and China to replicate your best efforts. And then suddenly it shows up in the market and you have no protection. A good example is you're familiar with many of the musicians in the days of CD, correct?
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. If you could begin to, conclude.
Okay, sure. I'll conclude.
I've heard you will share the link to the slides. So if you could, that will help us more if you begin to conclude now. Thank you, sir.
Sure. What I'm trying to say is all these things involved teamwork. With the laptop, the cell phones that we all use every day, were built by several teams, not a single individual. It starts from the design, the entire simulation, the testing, the fabrication. There are groups of people that do all these things. So even the marketing itself. So what I'm trying to say, if we can form very strong, cohesive teams, they tend to be more successful than any single individual. I've worked in the fab where we essentially perform magic. To the outside, it looks like magic, but it comes out of creative effort. So what I'm trying to encourage our Igbo folks is to form very powerful creative teams. No single individual, no matter his ability, is as good as a very good, cohesive and stubborn team I'll be happy to take questions later. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Summarized in one word, what the erudite scholar has talked to us about is the concept of idinotu, number one, but also Igwebuike. That is the Igbo philosophy behind, the thoughts that he has just expressed. Essentially, he's told us in more ways than one that he wouldn't have gotten to where he is today if he didn't imbibe that notion of Igwebuike, teamwork, collaboration. Thank you once again for that very, very, inspiring remarks. Now, the next person on the agenda for logistics, challenges could not join us. His flight was delayed. He's probably just about, landing now. But someone else will, I think we have received a video of the individual. I will very quickly introduce him. I'm talking of no other than Emeka Eghelu Ojoto. He's a lawyer, archivist, historian, and also a filmmaker. He's the author of several books, and as a matter of fact, he's a member of the board of trustees of Nigerian Legal History Society. Very, very important. Legal History Society of Nigeria. He's a member of the board of directors of EBAG, the Ukpabi Africa Knowledge Resource Center, and chairman of the board of directors of Piki West Africa Limited. I could go on and on and on, but I will, stop it at that simply by also saying that he's an associate fellow of the Royal Historical Society, a fellow of the Royal Society for the Arts, member of the Nigerian Bar Association, and a member of the Corporate Governance Institute of Canada. I will invite no other than Chiji to, I believe, say some more words and perhaps play us a video message that Nze has sent to us considering the circumstances. Thank you.
Ndị be anyị ekene m unu. Nwa bụ Ezennia Emeka Uzoh Uzoh. Biko ekene m ndị organizer this AfricaFora event. The invitation extended to me. Because my own umalo. And when a family emergency, Otananga travel. And for that reason, man not available. He deliver my presentation in person. Bikono, baalum. Mana anything basala Ndigbo, the monkma. I'm an Igbo man. I'm an Igbo. And issues basalo the banya. And that is the reason I decided can create this video. Bikono, can you only just get money? Because ukwa dempa. And my presentation was on the subject of the pioneers of Igbo land in the 20th century, giant strides and common purpose. Because I must know Igbo maka achom kandilo whatever I need. Any consideration of pioneers obviously has to cover the subject of the elite structures in Igbo society. Traditional elites before the advent of colonialism obviously consisted of, because Igbo land was a very democratic, egalitarian society, a meritocratic society where your ascendancy or should I say mobility, social mobility was dependent on ability, effort, an achievement, an output. Having said that, there were social safety nets for those who could not attain. However, there were incentives for those who could, which is why that competitive spirit of the Igbo people is something that persists till date. Often misunderstood, but that's irrelevant because that is who we are. We're competitive people. The farmers, the warriors, the dibias, were the elites, because this was a highly specialized society. Everyone had a role. Now, with the advent of colonialism, one of the greatest catalysts for the emergence of a new elite was the missions, the Christian missions, both the Catholic and the Anglican, starting with the Anglican from 1857, created a new elite because Western education became attractive. Said that with the conquest of Igbo land, which was between the period of 1879 and 1903, after the creation of the protectorates, the Niger Coast Protectorate, followed on by the Southern Protectorate. The military conquest became the new paradigm. And Igbo societies were compelled to adjust, so that the missionaries who had been shunned by vast numbers soon became accepted as part of the new power structure. And Western education became an important tool of social mobility. Basically, what we saw was that, we saw that our brethren who had embraced Christianity and had attended mission schools now became the new elite. So in the normal Igbo competitive open spirit, we had assumed this challenge, and there was now a deluge of Ndigbo seeking Western education, seeking Western training, seeking Western skills. I'm going to just go through a few case studies to show how this culture of excellence transited from the traditional society into the new colonial era, the new so-called modern society. I'm going to start with pioneers at the cusp of the imposition of colonial rule. And two prime examples would be Isaac Okechukwu Owolo Onitsha and his colleague and townsman, S.C. Obianwu. Now, these two were CMS, employees who were educated at Fora Bay College. And I would argue very strongly that a part of Africanus Hudson, I would say they were the first Igbo university graduates. And they were employed by CMS Church, but they left. They were fired after they protested the treatment of Bishop Crowther, and both of them established themselves in business. Isaac Umba became an extremely wealthy man, one of the wealthiest men in the East. So that transition from traditional society, that culture of excellence, was transited from traditional society into the new in the new colonial era, the new so-called modern epoch. And apart from that, they both became members, the first Igbo members of the Legislative Council in Lagos. And they weren't just there to mark present, as we say. Their interventions were most powerful and very, very wise and activist. In particular, notably, Obianwu and Anumba protested the imposition of taxes in Igbo land generally, and warned that it would cause problems within the broader society, and they were right. The Aba Women's War of 1929 was a consequence. The next mention would be of Ndigbo in the area of professions. Now, two cases stand out, that being Salu Mbanefo, the first Igbo lawyer, and Dr. Simon Onwu, the first Igbo doctor to practice in Igbo land, because Africanus Horton before him was proudly of Igbo origin, was qualified as a doctor in 1859. So clearly was the first to practice in Nigeria. Salui was the son of the great Odumbanefo, and Salui, in fact, had that transition from traditional elite society to modern elite was seamless. A first-class student, a first-class a scholar, and a first-class lawyer in practice, a politician before joining the bench and becoming the first Chief Justice of the Eastern Region and the Justice of the Supreme Court. So these were pioneers in their own rights, and they were recognized, broadly as elites, sterling elites, stainless elite, men of great stature, men of honor, men of integrity, and most importantly, they were very involved in Igbo land. They were very, very much involved in the development of Igbo land. In fact, Dr. Simon Onwu was at the lead in the creation or the codification of Igbo orthography, that's characters, Igbo language in writing. You know, the next being in the police force. The first two Igbo police officers were Frederick Onyuke and Eugene Kenneth Ikazo, my grandfather. They were commissioned as police officers in 1930. You know, and they had sterling careers in the police force. My grandfather retired as a commissioner of police in the Eastern region, in Enugu, in fact, and proudly so. But then, beyond just being a police officer, he was the leader of the Obosi Masquerade Troupe. He was a sponsor of Igbo popular music, the Onitsha and Obosi Native Orchestras, the first to record in Igbo language. My grandfather, Dr. Azikiwe, and a few others were the sponsors of this, because the issues, whilst they understood that modern society was evolving, it was important not to forget that our traditional society, because they were very much connected. My grandfather was the son of Ikazu Bobuli, a warrior of Obosi. As they say, Onye Hiden. My great-grandfather had a joker. He did not go to church, but he sent his son to school and sent his son to join the church. But he remained what they call a heathen. So there was a bridge between traditional society and modern society, but they never forgot where they came from. Now, my last case study was that of Chief Janet Mokelo. Chief Janet Mokelo was a frontline female Igbo political activist of the First Republic. Now, Janet Mokelo was also the joint first Igbo woman to be elected into a regional parliament, joint first woman to be elected into a regional parliament. I will end my presentation by defining the legacy of these Igbo pioneers. The legacy was one of integrity of service. You know, they adjusted to the new paradigm, they applied themselves diligently, but most importantly, they never forgot service to an Igbo. They never forgot their duty of preserving our local and traditional institutions. This legacy ought to have been transferred to the modern day, but there was one key intervening factor: the Nigerian Civil War. That war was one of the most destructive influences on this fabric of Igbo society. We have not recovered from it. To quote the great Professor Anya Okanya, he said, the post-war era introduced a culture of impunity and mediocrity that damaged the core of Igbo society, and which we have not recovered from. I think I've said everything I have to say. How do we get back there? It's a long thing, but part of what we are doing is to speak, to tell ourselves truths. 1 + 1 cannot be 5. 1 + 1 cannot be 3. There is a character to our society, the traditional society, that we should aspire to. It's a long journey, but it is important for us to remember where we're coming from, in the hope that maybe our children will inherit an Igbo land that was like that of our forefathers, and indeed their forebears, in the era that was bequeathed to us.
A wonderful expose. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you in absentia. Well, the critical question there is, where do we want to be? And he partly answered that question when he said it's going to be a long path to walk. Such long path, you begin the journey by one step at a time. And I think the most critical step is, telling the stories, assuming some of these things that are somewhere in the archive, and get knowledgeable about who these pioneers are, and let their story inspire us. So indeed, the journey has started. Ladies and gentlemen, next on the agenda is someone who is going to talk to us about the notion of the uniqueness of the Igbos, the uniqueness of Igbo land. Expressed in Igbo, it is called Igbo Adịghị Abụọ. To do justice to that, is Mr. Christopher Eghelu Ojoto, who has a very, very impressive and inspiring resume. The information is already available to you, but I'm just going to highlight, some punchy aspects of Mr. Ojoto's, profile. He's a chartered public administrator. Also chartered, he's a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. He is an Igbo man, has a BSc in economics from Ebonyi State University, and a master's in public policy analysis and strategic studies at Nasarawa State University in Kefi. Like I said, he will be talking to us about the uniqueness of the Igbos. Over to you, Mr. Ojoto.
Right. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Can I
hear you now. Thank you. Please.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon. I am most impressed by the, presentations that I've heard from most of our speakers, especially the serial inventor, Cyprian Emeka Uzoh. I am so glad that I keyed into this very presentation or this very program, and I will ever remain grateful to AfricaFora for giving me the opportunity. Up to the period that I joined this program today, I had hoped that we would talk and discuss the Igbo language, but I am also prepared. It's not as if, I cannot communicate effectively with the English language, but it is my view that a program of this nature should have extreme flair of Igbo in terms of the culture and presentation. So, but let me quickly go through. I don't know the amount of time I have, but let me quickly go through.
You have less than 5 minutes.
My topic said. Okay.
You have less than 5 minutes.
Quickly, just like my. Okay. You are taking some of the seconds. So, if we can translate literally, it means that Igbos or Igbo is not two. It means that wherever you found yourself, wherever you are, wherever, as long as the link is the blood. It's not a function of location. It's not a function of geography. It's not a function of, the environment you found yourself, but the blood that runs through you. Once there's a connection in blood, you are an Igbo man. And the essence of Nibadiga Abo is because of the kind of the dichotomy, should I call it dichotomy? Pardon me to use such word. When a section of people have this knowledge, have this notion that they are not Igbo, because in the environment we found ourselves. I am so happy that this program is being done outside our African clients and all that. But when you are within Nigeria, you have people from a certain part of Igbo land, maybe, for example, in Rivers, You ask them, they say they are not, I am not an Igbo man. And you see someone bearing Onka, you see someone bearing Chigozie, you see someone bearing such Igbo name that you can easily translate. Even when you ask the person to translate the meaning of his name, it is still Igbo, but the person will tell you that he or she is not an Igbo person. It is common in Nigeria. Reasons because of what I wouldn't want to, begin to comment, but we have found ourselves in a situation that we've been muzzled to deny our existence. We found ourselves in a situation that the economic policies are being made to exclude you because of your identity or your tribe. So, and some people feel that the best way they can achieve or they can continue their existence by denying who they are. But let us not dwell on the challenges or where we have found ourselves. What can we as a people, what can we do as a people to change the narration, to change, to kind of revolve, to reinvent ourselves, not to go in that route that we are being pushed to? Because it is only us that can evolve ourselves. Nobody can do it for us. For me, I'm an Ebonyi man. I'm a community leader from my locality. I'm an Ebonyi man. So how does the person who comes from Imo, what is his views about me? The person who comes from Abia, what is his view about me? How do I view the person who comes from Anambra? How do we see ourselves as a people? Because if we continue with such level of distrust that we have amongst ourselves, that is when our Sarah inventor, when he talks about teamwork, collaboration, and all that, I was particularly happy hearing that from him. Because when we have the level or the kind of level of distrust that we have amongst ourselves, how do we collaborate? How do we collaborate? We need to come together. Ndigbo si na onye ajụrụ adịna na-ajụ onwe ya. Ya ugodu na ndị ọzọ jụrụ anyị, anyị kwesịrị ịjụ onwe anyị. If others or if other groups have, tend to keep away from us, must we as a people, must we keep away from ourselves? That's the question. But we cannot go on in that manner. My suggestion in conclusion, my suggestion on how we can, as a people, begin to unite in a manner that it will foster our socio-political life. How do we do that? I suggest that we as people, as Ndigbo, that we begin to reach out to Ohaneze Ndigbo, and other socio-cultural organizations. Let them go through their leaders. Let them reach out, begin to preach the message, because as it is now, the message must come from our leaders. Let the message be preached at every corner that Igbo Adigabo. I don't know why, how, and where ABGA. I am not being political here, but I particularly love the slogan of ABGA. It's a political party. They say Onyaha na 1 year. ABGA, Onyaha na 1 year. It means that you should at any time and at all time not abandon your kinsman. And who is your kinsman? That Igbo man that is next door to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for that very, very incisive remarks, but also very, very inspiring, ending with a very wise counsel. Onye nwere ntị, ya nụrụ. That is a very common Igbo expression. Those who have ears, let them hear. And I'm sure that we have all heard you loud and clear. We are moving forward. And next on the agenda, and just before I do that, I want to remind us of the need to leave any thoughts, any remarks on the chat box. Is available to you. In your social media activities, don't forget to tag AfricaFora, which is very, very important to create continuous conversations. And then, finally, I want to also encourage us, to keep it as short and as straight to the point as possible. We are running some 20 minutes behind. It was, much more than that, but we have managed to win some time. Please, let's keep it up. The next speaker will be talking to us about the topic of Beyond Equinor, Missings on Igbo Presence in Montserrat. Now, the person to do justice to that topic is no other than Dr. Clarence Burns. I hope I got the pronunciation right. I will, just like some before her, will be, giving us some insights into her very rich and impressive profile. Not all of it, because that will keep us here for very, very long. I will simply tell you that Dr. Veni Clarice Burns is an educator, a social analyst, gender specialist, broadcaster, and I'm sure you're going to see that from her presentation, and very, very importantly, a curator. She has lectured internationally from her PhD research on the Montserrat volcanic eruption, a study of meaning, psychosocial effects, coping, and intervention, leaning very much to both social sciences and psychology. I wouldn't take much more of your time, but suffice to say that she has shown exceptional interest, research interest, in the interesting narratives of Olaudah Equinor, the African. And part of her musings, or as a matter of fact, the focus of her musings this afternoon is going to be on that very, very intentionally impactful African Equinor. Over to you, Dr. Ben.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nweke. And it is a privilege, indeed an honor for me to be part of this forum. I'm speaking to you from Montserrat, and it's afternoon here. And Montserrat is the tiny overseas territory of the United Kingdom that was colonized in the 17th century. And not long after colonization, in the middle of the 17th century, captured Africans were brought in as part of the transatlantic slave trade. And among those were many people many Igbos. And the most distinguished to have come onto Montserrat was Alorado Equiano, and he documented his presence there in his book, The Interesting Narrative of Alorado Equiano, the African. In that, he gave us great descriptions of life among the Igbo people, and he bought his freedom in Montserrat, demonstrating the will of the Igbo to attain freedom and to fight against injustice. He did that by trading because he was not enslaved on a plantation. His work was done aboard ship. And are you hearing me?
Yes, please.
We just had a power cut. I'm certain that is familiar. We just had a power cut. So thankfully, I'm at the radio station and there's, you know, they managed to put on, you know, another source of electricity. So we are very glad that I could continue. So he bought his freedom in Montserrat through trading between Montserrat and some of the other islands, because his work was aboard a ship. I must say that he was captured at 12 along with his sister, and all of that is documented. I think the importance of Equiano to Montserrat is that he bought his freedom here, demonstrating to other enslaved Africans that they could do likewise. And then he went on to England, where he became part of the anti-slavery movement there, forming the Sons of Africa, expressing the need for Africans to unite to fight that great injustice of slavery. And he was a great, through his research, he informed a lot of the protests against slavery, and people like Wilberforce, who emerged as being the voice of liberation. And of course, we don't believe that Equiano has been given as much prominence as he should have been given. And I was fortunate to be part of an exhibition that was put on by the Birmingham Museum in the United Kingdom and the Equiano Society, marking the 200 years of the abolition of the Slave Trade Act. And I brought that, the traveling portion of that exhibition to Montserrat, because that was where I believe its rightful place, given where Equiano bought his freedom. And so that was what I was involved in as a curator. But Montserrat is a volcanic island. For the last 30 years, we've had an eruption that has made the majority of the land in Montserrat uninhabitable. So our people are spread all over the world, many of them in the United Kingdom and many in the US. And so it's, you know, if we're saying that Igbos came to Montserrat in large numbers, then these are Igbos that are spread, people of Igbo descent that are spread with the spread of the Montserrat population as a result of the volcanic eruption. Although rich history, this rich background, as documented by Equiano, was one of the first people to document the volcanic, the Montserrat volcano, and we are saying that, you know, he was like one of the greatest travel writers of the time, who brought information about that natural, you know, phenomena to the rest of the world. So we are grateful to him in many, many ways. But the institution of slavery caused most of our people to doubt who they are, to doubt their identity, to become Africophobic, to deny their Africanness, never mind their Igbo-ness. But in Montserrat, we have some evidence that people like me are now trying to examine. First of all, we know Igbos were here because we have a yam called Igbo yam. And, you know, that's a yellow bitterish yam, but it is called Igbo yam. And we have an end of year festival, which we are thinking is an approximation of your yam festival, where our dancers or singers or masquerades, everybody is out celebrating. And we are actually also celebrating the fact that we've had a good year. And in that period of time, there is honoring of the ancestors through an ancestral table where the best of the food, the yam, and all of the other things are presented. And I saw the pouring of libation this morning, and we also have that. And we have an abbreviated version of that because the enslaved African on plantations in our part of the world had to hide a lot of those practices because they were, they were threatened by death if they did certain spiritual practices. We have ancestral naming, and our people are named after the ancestors. So I'm going to have to push in the fact that Chuku is one of the names, and that we know what Chuku is. We have Mama, we have Na, we have Ne, we have Da, we have Odi, we have Kasi, we have Mono, we have Nedi, we have Ivo, and we have Gosi, and we have a social system, a community system of self-help where we help each other to build houses and so forth. And lastly, because I could see that I have been told to wrap it up, Ekriano said that we were great, that he believed that, the Igbo people come from a great line of performers, singers, poets, dancers, actors, and we claim the same for ourselves. And so that's my final word. There's a lot of Igbo-ness that is to be investigated in parts of the world that are as obscure as us, but I think that it's all part of what is going to make the Igbo world stronger because, as a result of our experience in isolation and our experience of oppression and so on, we have created systems, ideas, and ways of being that are important to the world at large and to the Igbo.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Okay. So thank you so very much. It is it's very important for us to know that we have an active community of cousins out there in Montserrat. For any one of you thinking of your next holiday destination, here you are. Thank you so very much, Dr. Benz, for that expose. Now, the next speaker will be talking to us about the Ikenga principles of Oguafo. The person to do justice to that topic is Dr. Claudette A. Anderson, who is the Executive Director and Professor of Obia at the Unuchi Foundation, an Afro-Atlantic religious reparations not-for-profit. She received her PhD in interdisciplinary studies in cognitive ethno-medicine and religion from Emory University. Her dissertation at the time was from cognitive Obia, from Chukwu Abiama to Ja Rastafari, a theology of the Jam African Abia Catholic Church, which uses a cognitive lens to argue for Obia Obe as a body of revealed knowledge. Now, there can be no other person than Dr. Anderson herself to actually let us into that Ikenga principles of Ogo Afro. I hand the word over to you, Dr. Anderson. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to everyone. Are you hearing me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Wonderful. And a particular good afternoon to Dr. Barnes. Dr. Barnes, there's no S?
Yes, well, there is S.
Okay.
Barnes.
You have the S off. As a fellow Caribbean warrior, I greet you. We are called descended diaspora. And as descended diaspora, we've lost our language, we've lost our lineage. We don't know who we're related to back home. We don't speak the language as well, and we've lost much of the culture. In particular, my research is about the Dibia profession, Obia, as it came into the Caribbean via our enslaved ancestors. But today, I want to make a point about unity and reconnection. We have had presentations that talk about the importance of teamwork, the importance of remembering who we are as Igbos, of looking out for each other. And my particular beef is time, you know. I'm sure all of you know that there's this thing called Africa time where we wait endlessly on each other. But no, I want to, as somebody who is clawing back home, trying to look for the signpost and find my way back home, to find myself through what exists of Igbo culture before enslavement. So we are about pre-colonial Igbo land. So like Ezemo said, we're not ladies and gentlemen, we're simply Igbo. Full stop. Oguafo, the Igbo count of the year, or the Igbo calendar, has been almost abandoned in Igbo land. And I am on a mission to revive it. I am saying that there's an Ikenga principle in Oguafo, and I want to explore unity as a factor of time. The Ikenga principle, I would like the moderator to show the image that I have, and I will speak behind it for now. I want you to pay attention to this image. The Ikenga principle. Ikenga has been defined as a male principle. Ikenga has been defined as the strength of the home. Ikenga has been defined as the strength of movement. Can I have the image, please?
Do you mean the one behind you? Because we can see that quite clearly.
Oh, I have an image.
As a backdrop.
Yeah, no. We're supposed to be having another image of a calendar cover.
It's coming on. It's coming on.
Yes.
Thank you.
Chiji is getting it on shortly. And I will appeal. I mean, I'm happy you have something to leave behind. This is also being recorded. You know, if you could wrap up within the next 4 minutes, that would be fantastic.
Yes, sure, no problem.
Right.
Time, right? This is what we have not mastered as Igbos. We have forgotten. It's very interesting that the gentleman earlier spoke about that transition from traditional culture into colonial culture and the ability to retain integrity and to retain culture, and then the Biafra War, and it seems that we have lost everything. I want to introduce the concept of Ikenga as balance. So imagine you are looking out from this calendar. The right side is your mother's Ike, your mother's strength, which is the left side. And the right side is what is commonly known as Ikenga, which is your father's Ike. This is a painting by Chuma Anagbedo. I want to give him credit. This is an image that he painted as homage to his children, to protect them. There you see the hand, preventing the arrows from affecting the children. And what I did was simply to make a mirror image of it as a way of symbolizing the Igbo calendar. Igbo calendar, 13 months, 91 weeks, 4 days. 1 month is 28 days. It starts at Ikenga. We have 2 Ikengas. The first Ikenga is autumn equinox, which starts, we're in the period now, 7th month, you will find. Ikenga is both the sun in Pisces and the sun in Virgo. It's about the spring and autumn. Autumn belongs to female, which is the white side, and spring belongs to the male. This is when the universe becomes active and we do things. So there you see it being colorful. Igbo philosophy and metaphysics is cemented in the calendar. If we want to unify as Igbos and we want to reconnect, we have to study the Igbo calendar as a didactic tool. Right there, you have your mother's Ike and your father's Ike. You also have Nta and Uko, big market day, small market day. The above and the below. You have 4 hands representing the 4 days. I don't have enough time because I hear that I have 4 minutes, but I want to introduce Ikenga as a concept of balance, that indeed the year is balanced in 4 quarters. The year is balanced with 2 equinoxes, 2 moments of the year when the day and night is equal. We have to go back to our maternal culture or original culture of honoring both male and female. This is what the year is. And so what we've done at Unuchi Foundation is that we have a calendar. You can go to ibocal.com and download it for free or for $1. We want people to begin to use the Igbo calendar, to remember that they have a calendar. Instead of saying Saturday, can you imagine if all the Igbos in the world were saying Eke, Orie, Afo, Unko on that day and empowering themselves as opposed to being subject to somebody else's time that has nothing to do with natural time. I want to close by saying, and I'm going to read this, please allow me to. Ogu afo ifo, Ogu afo Igbo. The Igbo calendar or the Igbo year count is a foundational aspect of Igbo culture that has been replaced by the Gregorian calendar as a means of reckoning time in Igbo land. The inestimable and seemingly irreparable loss of knowledge occasioned by this near abandonment of the calendar exemplifies the weak links that bind us together in an unrelenting cultural impoverishment. This calendar is a 4-principled and Ikenga constellation of time. It constitutes an ancient system of knowledge, and it serves as a cultural container of Igbo cosmology, spirituality, philosophy, metaphysics, and language. If we return to this calendar, we will return to a correct timekeeping that will repair the disconnect between us wherever we are in the world, descended diaspora or recent diaspora. Proper knowledge of and access to the calendar will revitalize Igbos and Igbo culture, and we will be able to weave ourselves anew in unity. Weave ourselves anew in unity through those ancient threads, through ancient timekeeping, through recovery of the natural rhythms that make us Igbo. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Dr. Anderson. Personally, I have made a very careful note of, your references to, the Igbo calendar. It reminds me of time past, like I mentioned earlier. My initial orientation was Igbo land, born there, raised there, and, at some point migrated. This is something I will proudly and urgently share with the boys out here. Thank you so very much for highlighting them. Now, going over to the next speaker and the last, before a brief question and answer, I will be introducing a young Igbo economist and geographer to you who specializes in business and project planning. His name is Chigozie Nweke Eze, a research fellow at the University of Bonn, Germany, as well as visiting research fellow at the Center for Igbo Studies, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Nweke Eze was appointed Secretary General of the Igbo Cultural Village Complex, which is an Igbo cultural landmark project currently in construction at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He will be talking to us about the need for leveraging Igbo wealth and ingenuity for the common good, progress, and prosperity. Over to you, Dr. Nweke Eze.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Can you hear me? All
yes,
right.
Please.
It's my pleasure to be here, and thank you also to the moderator who has my middle name, Collins. And I'm very happy to see a lot of familiar faces. I doff my cap also for Dr. Anderson, and others. So many have been here for a while, and I've been listening to all the very interesting insights that we've been gotten, from this, and I'm very happy to be here. As has already been referred to, actually my presentation has to do with, trying to make some sense of the fact that we Igbos have been known to actually be prosperous. Of course, I want to give a little bit of background on that. And of course, we are very innovative. We also hear of the patents and of the prizes that's been won, also from the presentation that has been made. But the question now is, how do we actually leverage of all these ingenuity, to see that we are progressing and that we're actually prosperous? I will start by kind of fleshing this out in terms of what we have to give. The Igbos are quite known, both at home and in diaspora, to be quite innovative. And of course, this is seen by our prowess in business, but also in the academic sector, and even in normal work. We seem to stand out. And and this thing goes, we have always survived. Even after the Civil War, we try to really stand well and continue to thrive. And we do well in business with a lot of innovations that we are also homegrown, such as Eba Boy. Some of us know it, in our own innovative way of learning trade. Eba Sahi, our own innovative way of raising capital for people starting afresh. Of course, and Igbo Ndigbo, of course, which is also an innovation that some of us have in terms of trying to gain new skills or gain some capital in order to start our own innovative businesses. Igbo people have also been known to be quite independent, and have also been known to also pursue wealth mostly independently as well. And of course, An Igbo man tries as much as they can to avoid, or Igbo man or Igbo woman tries as much as they can to avoid being poor. Now, this is a reality, but now the question is, how do we ensure that we bring in that aspect of unity? Because as also presented by Dr. Uzoh, most of the biggest innovations you see, as far as projects are concerned, as far as biggest technology landscapes, landmarks are concerned, involves a lot of cooperation between people who may not necessarily agree on everything, but are able to come together and really stay at it and stay focused on the goal until they achieve it. So how do we bring that back into our society? I argue that this is actually what we need, that and more cooperation, and also more looking away from just self into also considering more of others. The Igbo man, of course, would love to be very well, typically Igbo man or average one, would like to be recognized for the activities. This is also explained, by having that sense of, some of us will go back home and do a big mansion in a house that they rarely come into, just to show that, yes, I have arrived, or prefer to make a donation in public so that they will be announced. Things like these are things that are innate. But how do we also integrate that sense of unity, that sense of, as we are going up, how do we also bring others, carry others along, and how do we support our various ventures? And I say this, and I would like to, at this point, also connect it to the life of emerging youths as well. If it seemed that the previous generation or current generation has missed that point, how do we start right now, actually, to see that the emerging youths of now are also learning that lesson, to make sure that they also imbibe the same? And how do we also make sure that we unite more, not just for people back home, but also make sure we bridge that diaspora homeland disconnect coming up, to make sure that there is a lot of symbiosis of sharing of ideas and even cooperation going on. And then, of course, in order to actually tangibilize this, we've started a group of youth. I've also started, which I'm also involved, started a program called Ndigbo Nile. And of course, this platform is actually consists of a number of learned Ndigbo youths studying abroad, at home, successful in different areas of life. And we're trying to see to what extent we can bring together and also imbibe or grow together, share lessons, share learning, and try to bring up more innovative systems, say in banking, in crediting, and also, of course, with very huge regard to learning from our elders and those who have gone ahead of us, to also see how do we correct mistakes that have been made, and how do we also continue with the really great things that we already see on the ground being performed. So thank you so much. I want to stop here, and I appreciate the opportunity to present today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Chigozie. That was, again, incisive and inspiring. With your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tweak the program a little bit to break a little bit the speaker monotony. I mean, there is just so much information that we have received in the past hour. And while we are processing those information, I wouldn't immediately bug us with, a new presentation. Rather, let's have some fun. And to help us in having that fun, I'm going to invite Amarachi Atama Ugu, who will be doing some Igbo chant poetry. If you don't understand Igbo, sorry about that, but I don't know that, such a chant poetry could come out in any other language than Igbo. I'm sure Amarachi will agree with me. Amarachi, please, can I have the pleasure of welcoming you to the stage just for some 5 minutes. Thank you, and over to you. You appear to be on mute, Amarachi.
No, I am unmuted now.
Yes, you are. Please.
Ha mụ kelee ndị ekele kwesịrị maka na tum bụ isi abịa ụwa bụ ọrịrị mana ama ndị a na-egwuru mmiri ebutere ọka. Ezie mụ jezie ede na mụ ga-eje mana asị mụ je ma yụra mụ gbala maka na nwata gbulie na ya elu. Ayakata niile awụchie ya anya. I come decorated in the patterns of the old, in the proverbial wisdom of my ancestors. Apụghị m ịga n'iru na ọ bụ na m awụsa wee kelee n'ukwu unu. Ọ na-abụ enwe machariwa. Ọ dị ka ukwu osisi anọghị ya nso, ọ ga-emenwu ya. Ọ tụrụ kpọkpọ ejikwa n'ike ya tụkpo osisi. Anyụ mitu gbọgụrụ amịta anyụ. Ndị ọma na m ekele unu ndị ọma. Nke onye jiri ya zere abịa anaghị ya olu na nkete. Ọ bụkwanụ maka na unu kwekọrịtara ka anyị kwanye alụmahụ ka ofufu dị agbanụ. Ọ kpọrọ okwu kpọrọ mana ọbịbịa dịrị ndị bịara, ndị hụrụ ya n'anya, ndị hụrụ ihe a na-eme n'anya ma ọ bụ ndị chọrọ ịnụ ya chọrọ ikwu. Ọ kpọrọ okwu kpọrọ onye bịara asị ya nnọọ, ekele ncha na ọ gbara ụfụfụ, ekelekwa mmiri mere ka ọ gbanye bụ ụfụfụ. Eriri mara ngwugwu gbara onye kere ya. Ekele m ndị a. Mgbe ọ bụ na anyị nọkọrọ ọnụ, ọ na-atọkwa n'ụtọ. Ekele m ndị ọma, ndị ọma, ndị ọma, ndị ọma, ndị ọma, ndị ọma, ndị ọma. Agbata obi bịara nnọọ. Igbo alakpụrụ ma Igbo ala dị bara gbogbo. Igbo bụ mmụọ, Igbo enika, Igbo bụ dachi. Ha gokumekwa ya na ewu guneri nkashi jiri onye kọrọ anyị na ya galakọ meyacha ga anyị ala meshi ya niile bụ n'ụmụ. Ọkwa ndị anyị na-asị na ọnwa bụ ije ji ịchụ aja na-emechi okpu ome. Onye riri mkpụrụ amụ ebile ji ibi ụgwọ. Igbo anaghị egburu igba tiba afọ dị mkpa karịala. Onye isi antị obodo ya nkịta aka jidakụ egwu atụvo ofe. Igbo na-akpụ na ha na-egbu m ka mmanya. O nwere ka o si eme emu. Igbo bụ akpa na-esi anụ anụ. O nwere ihe dị iche iche eji mara ndị Igbo, mana nke ejighị ya ma anyị bụ igbu mmadụ maka na anyị na ọnwụ anaghị erikọ n'otu efere, mana onye tinye n'Igbo aka nsị n'anya. Igbo bụ ndụ, ledo ya anya. Chetakwa na ihe ejiri gọndụ alaghị n'ihi na anụ ọ bụ mụ kwube. Unekone na Ndigbo bụkwana ọ bụ ya bụ ọnọ n'elu jiri ebube igwe Ndigbo ka uwe ọtụrụkpọkpọ eji ikobike ya tụkpọ osisi mana tetekwa ihe ha na-ekwu onye akpakwa na-aga aka n'ọdụ ma ọ dị ndụ ma ọ nwụrụ anwụ onye akpakwa na-aga aka n'ọdụ ma ọ dị ndụ ma ọ nwụrụ anwụ onye akpakwa na-agụ aka n'ọdụ ebube agụ na-echi agụ ọ bụghị maka egbere ọnụ o si na-achị Igbo dị ebube Igbo dị ebube aga Igbo dị omimi ọ bụghị ha na-akwụ ọtọ ya ekwuchasị nchọpụtagoro chetu kwuru ka m jikọrọ gị mere ntị a na-akọwa ihe dị omimi ya kọwa Igbo dịka elu Igbo dịka ala Igbo bụ oke ikuku Igbo bụ osimiri ata ịchọ mmadụ igburu ọchụ ịgawa n'ụzụ gaga n'ogwu ma dịrị onye na-edobere ihe na ihe ọ na-akpụ ọja kpọlite ụmụ mgbọrọgwụ ndị Igbo onye ọbụla nwere nke a na-etu ya ha abịa n'oge ji mara m ntụnye ha ntụ ofe n'ọkụ onwe imo ọtụ ifumelogwugede ya ji gbaa n'ọbọta akị eji ọgụgụ olu m gbakọ mụrụ ụzọ n'isi na-enwu m maka na mgbe ọbụla anyị nọkọrọ ọnụ na ọ na-atọkwa n'ụtọ Igwe biga ndewo
What an elegant performance. Thank you so very much, Amarachi Atama Ugu. Now, I know that with this performance, you have made people curious to know a little more about you. I thought I could get away with skipping that, but no, I can't. So I'm going to just say a few words about Amarachi. Amarachi may have performed in Igbo, and she is an advocate of, advocate for mother tongue. But does that mean that Amarachi doesn't recognize other languages than Igbo? Certainly not. She believes in the strength of mother tongue as something that has to be, protected, but also promoted. Her mother tongue happens to be Igbo, and that is why we have the benefit of this poetry chant, something she does excellently well, as you have, noticed. She's based in the United States, but she has performed all over the world, including in African countries like Ghana and, many other places. She's a culture curator, it couldn't be otherwise, and has projects in many, Ivy League centers like Yale Center for Language Study at the University of Yale and a number of other places. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in putting your hands together for Amarachi. So with that, we are drawing beautifully close to the end of the program, but not without creating an opportunity for people to ask a few questions. We have encouraged you throughout the session to leave your remarks, your questions, or thoughts on the chat. I'm not sure we have, received any, but like we mentioned at the beginning of this program, What we're having today is actually initiating a conversation around Ikenga. Ikenga as a symbol, Ikenga as a way of life. Now we have heard, various interventions, various, presentations, and I believe that all of them are excellent. But one that appears, to stand out in terms of that Ikenga philosophy is actually the one given by both Anderson, Dr. Anderson and Dr. Burns, because they actually took us through something that we who have remained in Igbo land, are not so very conversant with. They have given us a window through which we could view our causes that actually left Igbo lands century ago, but are reconnecting. They have remained connected. And I believe that one of those ways of, keeping that connection is through Ikenga Day, as we are having today. So I will pause here, ladies and gentlemen, to field in a few questions. And please, if you can, be specific about who the question is directed to. If it is not specified, the admin will try to provide the answer. But let me emphasize that it's going to be short, brief, but the conversation definitely, continues way beyond the Ikenga Day 2024. Over to you, ladies and gentlemen. The floor is open for a few questions. If you have a question, you can indicate by using the hand up icon, or on the screen, you could raise your hand. I believe we should be able to see you.
There are many questions in the question and answer.
Oh, okay. If you could take a representative set of questions, read them out, and then we will take it from there. Please, over to you. Are you doing that?
Oh, okay. Let me do the role. So the first question.
Dr. Wait, there are questions on the Q&A.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's fine. I would need her help to read them out.
The first one is from an anonymous attendee, and it goes to Chief Emeka Uzoh, which I believe is not here. So I don't know if I should read the question. But the person said, who were some of the most influential Igbo pioneers and what were their contributions? And I think the same person, another anonymous attendee, wrote a question to Mr. Emeka. What ways could or did Igbo pioneers influence fight against colonialism and push for self-governance in Nigeria? And the third question is to Mr. or Chief Christopher, and it's from Jason Bond. It says, what way do proverbs, folktales, and sayings reinforce the idea of Igbo Adihi Abụọ? The fourth question is from another anonymous attendee, and it is to Chief Christopher, and it says, how can the Igbo diaspora uphold the values of Igbo Adihi Abụọ while living outside Nigeria? And the last one is also from Jason Bond. It is to Mr. Chigozie, and it says, what are the key factors that contribute to the wealth and entrepreneurial success of the Igbo people? These are some of the questions.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Let's start with the last, not because it's the most important, but just, for ease. Chigozie, could you, provide in a minute or two maximum an answer to the question directed to you? Chigozie, please.
Thank you so much for that. And I know that I had to rush my presentation a little bit and skipped a little, but this is also an extract from the book I'm also writing that just goes directly to answer these questions in a more, elaborated way. Actually, there are it's actually a combination of certain factors, which we also call geographies, of actors, processes, and linkages, that has placed Ndigbo in this prominent position that they have found themselves in. And this is one of the factors, number one, their love for commerce and trade, such as I've said, Imwahia and Oro. That is, Igbo people have the tendency to start up enterprises and also to go into trade. And they have traditionally done that very well, whether in the nations they find themselves, which is Nigeria in this case, or even internationally. And they have also been very innovative in terms of trying to, come up with new ideas, which also expresses itself outside of the business circle. This can find itself, let's say, in organizations where people have to cooperate to build a certain technology. For instance, airplanes, that's already said. That thinking outside the box to do things. And just to limit it to capital raising, I raised the example of Ebosa here, that is the trick of marketing another person's good with his consent for the purpose of raising premiums for startup capital. Okay, that's Ebosa here. And then also Ndigbo, which is actually an exchange of time and energy in order to get skills, managerial skills, business acumen, and even social capital to then go to invest in and excel in commerce and businesses. So my thesis is that these are important factors, of course, that has helped Ndigbo, but we need to now begin to connect it to commonwealth. How do we convert some of these these factors that has helped individual wealth into more of commonwealth that can then stand the test of time? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. If I can circle to Mazi Christopher Elueze to quickly provide, very, very brief answer to the question posed to you. Mazi Eze, please. You're on mute. Right.
Okay. The question is, how can the concept of Igbo benefit the Igbos in diaspora? I strongly believe that the brotherly love of Igbos manifests more in diaspora than in Nigeria. I strongly believe. But beyond the concept itself, we have to, as a people, begin to build trust amongst ourselves. Can you be open to your brother? Can you and your brother have a business transaction and it remains the way you people agree? These days, it is a challenge when someone is over there, maybe in diaspora, and is sending money to someone in Nigeria to perform a particular task, receiving a challenge. But at the same time, even those in diaspora are willing and ready to trade off his brother for a peanut. So the question now is, can we begin? It's not, I'm putting it back to him. He asks, how can it help people in diaspora? The boundaries will collapse the very moment we begin to build trust. The boundary will collapse. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. I believe there was a question to
Collins. Excuse me. This is Uzoh. I would like to add to the answer that Chigozie provided about what makes the Igbo special. I grew up in Yoruba, so I speak Yoruba very well. We're not a timid tribe. We do not suffer the inferiority complex that some other tribes have. I think that is the key, this lack of timidity. We are bold. And if you come to think of it, fortune favors those who are bold. That's all I have to say on that issue.
Thank you. And I've had my hand up, Mr. Moderator. I just want to add to that. One of the things that I've discovered in researching the Igbos is that comes from the calendar, the epistemology, cosmology of the Igbo calendar. Are you hearing me? Is everybody here?
Yes, we are.
The Igbo calendar consists of market days. Igbos understand market forces. Igbos know, in another way of saying it, what time it is. Igbos understand this is why we have 4 market days. Igbos are able to forecast, and that is the 4 that's in the fa. That is the do, re, mi, fa musically, but also the eke, ore, afo, unko. We know what direction the energies are coming from. And that connection with the earth and with the 4 forces, Jishike, may the force be with you. I think that Igbos being among the first human beings and having kept those forces with them in terms of in it we live and move and have our being. The conceptualization of human life as an exchange of forces, that we understand what energy we're dealing with, we understand what time it is, enables the Igbos to engineer, because time is a form of engineering. That's why Igbos are such great engineers. And part and parcel of that, what I'm doing now is taking the profession of the dibia and normalizing it. So what do you do when you go to the dibia? You're looking for a forecast. You want to know what time it is. You want to know what's going to happen. You want to know what's happening, what happened before and what's going to happen. And that ability to trade with every energy that you engage with. For example, when the Igbos came over here and the culture eventually became called the Mayan culture, they needed to add another 4. So Igbos have 4x4, 16, but the Mayas have 4x5, which is 20. It's still the same system of 4s. You're adding 4 to it. So I just wanted to point out there are 4 questions asked of me in the question and answer section that I answered individually. But if the staff who is managing that section goes over, she will see that I answered, I think, 3 or 4 questions. But what makes the Igbos unique? I just wanted to come back to the calendar as the foundational didactic tool. We know the market. We're engineers of the market. We know how to trade. And that involves teamwork, because when something stands beside you. So ukwo and also nta. But also, if you're standing at Eke, which is in the east, you know optimally that your trading partner is in the west and you're facing him or her and you're exchanging energies. And as the Igbos traverse the world, they gauge the market forces and they're able to manipulate and use them. And I'm saying this again, connecting it back to the calendar, which we have abandoned for somebody else's time, which is geared towards slavery more than anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for that very critical addendum. I also want to thank Dr. Uzoh for actually firing the first, salvo in providing, that very important addendum as well. It looks like we are coming beautifully to the end of this program. We ran a bit late, but we have managed to, hasten up. And in doing that, we have not sliced into the quality of the program, neither have we actually abandoned, our objective. I believe from all standards that, we have had a very, very short but punchy and important conversation in terms of initiating those conversations. Personally, there are quite a lot to follow up on. Definitely with Dr. Anderson, but also with Dr. Burns. I want to know more about those Igbo influences that surround you on daily basis. I want to put them side by side. What I know about Igbo land, being born there, growing up there, and at some point migrating out of Igbo land to be in another culture, a dominant culture that has indeed, I have to admit it, affected my Igbo-ness. Now, when I use I'm actually, I believe, speaking for a host of other Igbo in diaspora. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of this program, Ikenga Day 2024. What more can I say? Let's look up to Ikenga Day 2025. I cannot close this session without singling out our sister Winifred for actually being the brain behind all of this. She has continued to work tirelessly. I want to, stand behind Dr. Anderson and Dr. Burns, who have talked so much about, the energy. So I want to invoke the energy of Chukwu Abiyama to say, let the forces be with you to keep up the energy and to continue to bring us together so that we continue to converge around Igbo. Thank you, everyone, and thank you so very much. Let me now hand the word back to our sister Winifred for the final words before closing. Winifred, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Chidi, can I have, can you give the video, please? I want to say a big thank you. Thank you to all of you. N'asụsụ Igbo, ụmụ nwanne m, ndewonu, unu emeela. Thank you for answering the call. I am honestly humbled by your presence. From our honorable moderator, who is our patron, to our honorable speakers, to our honorable performers, and our honorable audience. And I apologize for Zoom messing us up today, because there are a lot of messages of people who couldn't connect. I don't know why. Yeah, but for those of you who were able to make it, thank you so much. In spite of struggling, you managed to come in. We appreciate your persistence and your presence. Thank you so much. I just want to say something that the late Omo of Okpanam said to me when I spoke with her some time ago. I think that was last year. She said to me that Ndigbo should not see the existence of Igbo local communities that Ndigbo should see the existence of local Igbo communities in different states of the Federation and also in different parts of the world as a positive omen. It should be our strength, because if we all put up, if we all get together, that is when we say the Igbo, because we will make the numbers. And that is a very strong message that I keep, because today she is late. But when I go through our discussions, she has a lot of sayings like this that really brightens my day. And I just want to read a small message from Dr. Felix Oragu. Dr. Oragu was the person who, during the Biafran War, with his team, fabricated what we call Ogbunigwe, which in English is bomb, because everybody knew that during the Biafran War, there was embargo, so a lot of foreign, there was no access to foreign assistance or anything. So our fathers had to make local things to, fight the war. So he did say something. I'll read it out to you. He said that he wrote a book. He wrote many books, but this one is about Ndigbo. So I'm going to read it to you. He said the title of the book is Scientific and Technological Innovations in Biafra from 1967 to 1970. The Ogbunigwe Technology Fame, second edition, 2017. Is a book he thinks that every Igbo must read. The book is about Nigeria and the Biafran War. He continues that this book tells you what caused the war, all the personalities involved in it, be it military, scientific engineers, or Ndigbo leaders in politics, and what have you. It is a book of records any Igbo man and woman and future generations should have. Everything about Nigeria, from amalgamation to present day, is factually recorded. And he advises us to get a copy of this book from his website called blogtechnologia.ng, Technology in Defense of Nationhood. So he says that this book will help us in knowing how our fathers in those days were able to get this unity that we're nostalgic of, because we want to go back. What is this thing we want to go back? We want to go back what we had growing up. And he is saying that from his experience, he was involved in the Biafran War. He and his team manufactured the Ogbunigwe that every Igbo person talks about. And he says that we have invaluable information in this document that could help us. And anybody who is interested in getting a copy of it, just in case you want it, and I think it's on Amazon, but anybody that is interested in getting a copy of it could please reach out to me and I'll pass his information to you. These are treasures that we should not, he is part of our treasures that we should keep in touch with, because his experience is not something we can buy. Each time I have a discussion with him, the lessons I learned from him is invaluable. And it is only to our advantage if we as Ndigbo can reach out to people like this and gain from their wealth of experience and knowledge. Thank you so much for making 2024 Ikenga Day very successful. I am very rich because I have all of you. Thank you so much, and may God guide us all. Kachifonu, Dalono.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Until next year.
Right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, and bye from Montreal.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I'm grateful. I'm very grateful.
nzukọ onye nụ ya kọla ibe yo nlụba anyị na-abịala Igbo kwenu Igbo kwenu kwezwenu
Lula,